everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Cooking with Deadpool cookbook. After the appetizer last week, look at them puppies turned out to be really good. This week we're making the side, Chick-Arrones. As usual, since this recipe book does have stories, let's tell the story. Anyone who has ever met me knows I tend to push everything in my life to the extreme. My fighting style, my sense of humor, my complete and utter lack of social graces. But even I'm self-aware enough to admit that, after a while, extreme doesn't seem quite so extreme anymore. When you're expected to push boundaries all the time, suddenly pushing boundaries becomes the expected. And that's the opposite of edgy. Luckily, your old pal Deadpool wasn't about to be left in the dust as a new generation of trendsetters and tastemakers pushed the envelope in different directions. So I locked myself in a motel room for 3 weeks and tried to think of the most over-the-top idea to help me reclaim my rightful place as the champion of excess. The answer came to me in a moment of pure cosmic awareness. Chicken nachos. But get this, the nachos are the chicken. Mind blown to the extreme. Well, we'll see how extreme that turns out to be, but as usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's head in that direction. For this recipe, we need 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, a teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, salt and fresh black pepper, those will be to taste, 1/2 cup of milk and sour cream, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, a cup of yellow cornmeal, 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and oil, such as peanut, vegetable, or canola for frying. I'm using vegetable oil this time. With that, let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. The first thing we're going to do is get the chicken out of the packaging, like so. We're going to set 2 breasts down because we need 2. The third one is going to get thrown into a freezer bag and go be frozen. I'll figure out something else I can do with this, I'm sure. Okay, that can hit the bin. What we're going to do here is we're going to hold a knife take a knife, hold it parallel to the cutting board, and slice the chicken breast in half lengthwise. Okay, that's probably... All right. Okay, I think we can probably get it into a more normal cut now. I always get nervous when I've got... Okay. I was going to say, I always get nervous when I have a knife that close to my hand like that. Okay, so we've got those cut out. I'll give my hands a quick wash. Mostly because I've got electronics in the kitchen. Normally, if I was just cooking like normal, I wouldn't bother. But since I've got electronics around here, I'm going to bother with that. So now I'm going to grab my mallet and my parchment paper. I need the knife back here. We're going to take a couple of pieces of parchment paper without having the tube go flying on me. Actually, I could probably just fold this up. Oh yeah. I can just fold this. And that'll achieve the same thing. These are already pretty thin, so what I'm going to do here, I'd probably get a couple of these together. Like that. Should work. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to pound these with a mallet until they're about 1/2 inch thick. So I've got my mallet right here, which is probably going to need to be cleaned, but for now, it'll work here. bit. Okay, that should... I think that one needs a little more. Okay, that seems like it should work. Okay, so now what we want to do is now we want to start cutting the chicken into chip-sized triangles. You can probably go out like that. But the goal with the mallet was to get the chicken pieces to be about 1/2 inch thick. All right, so that's about where we want it to be. So I'm going to turn the camera off, finish cutting this, and then I'll repeat that with the other 2 pieces of chicken, and we'll come back ready for the next step. Next up, we have a large bowl and shot, because what we're going to do with this is we're going to whisk the paprika. We're going to prepare the marinade, starting with the teaspoon of paprika. Right, yes, teaspoon of paprika. The teaspoon can go back toward the ingredient table because I will need that again. The paprika, however, can go up because I no longer need that. 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. 1/4 teaspoon can go toward the dishes. Salt and pepper to taste. Go light on both. Okay, there's the salt. And sprinkling in the pepper. There we are. Oh, come on, we can do a little more than that. Okay, there we go. Salt and pepper can go back up. And then 1/2 cup each of milk and sour cream. We'll start off with the milk. This is the same milk that we used for last week's recipe. I think we used a cup of it, and usually, yep. I was going to say, I can usually get about 1/2 cup, another 1/2 cup out of, when I buy a container of milk like this for recipes, and I use about a cup of it, I can usually get about another cup out of it. For equivalency, that's roughly, usually I buy it when I make the no-bake cookies. And I can usually get about 2 batches out of one of those containers of milk. I'll wipe this down because I'll need that again for the sour cream, which of course I'll need to puncture open. Actually, no, I won't need to puncture it open. There's a nice convenient pull tab there, so I can pull the foil layer off. And we'll grab about 1/2 cup of sour cream. That's going to be a little bit of a generous 1/2 cup, but I can work with that. Let me see if I can find a spatula. Here we go. We'll grab this one. We'll scoop out as much as we can. All right. That can move toward the dishes. And now we'll whisk all of that together. It's going to be a little bit of an awkward whisk because of the sour cream. Seems to be going pretty well, though. Sour cream is breaking up pretty readily, which is always a help. Let me see if I can scrape a little bit more of this, what looks like spices, down. Just to make sure they get in there as well. Okay. Alright, I think we're good there. That's what the marinade looks like when it's all done. Right, that can all come out. Then we'll drop the chicken in to marinate. Actually, I can probably just just do it like that. Hopefully I'll be able to separate that when it comes time to start dredging everything together. I should be able to, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it as separate in there as I can. I'll give my hands another quick wash. Alright, so while the chicken marinates, now we're going to prepare the dredge, and for that, we need a pie plate and shot. Okay, with the pie plate and shot, now we're going to start preparing the dredge. We're going to start off with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, which I'm going to pour the flour into the cup at this weird angle, which is actually hurting my shoulder a little bit, but not too bad. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to set the okay, there we go. Yeah, that's just about perfect. That way the flour doesn't go flying on me. Speaking of the flour, that can go back up. There we go. A cup of cornmeal. There we are. This is probably going to be way more dredge than I end up needing, because I was looking at the chicken I've got. How does that want to go back in? There we go. Trying to put the cap back on the cornmeal so I can put that back up. 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, which here's the cornstarch. This is a 2 tablespoon container I'm using. 4. That can head toward the dishes. And then a teaspoon each of garlic powder, and a little bit more salt. Okay, the salt can go up. And now we'll whisk this together. Trying to be careful so I don't send anything in the dredge flying. Alright, that looks very nicely put together. Alright, that looks like we're good to go there. So we'll come back. So now that that's ready, we're going to come back to the stove and an ever familiar sight. If you're a regular viewer of Mystical Munchies, you know what it means when we're at the stove with a stock pot and this little wire looking thing in shot. It means I've got my temperature probe and a pot of oil and we're heating it up. The temperature we're going for is 365. We're at 347 right now, so I think now we're going to start working on the next step. So So while that's still heating up, we're going to take the chicken out of the marinade and let the excess drip off. I'm going to do this off shot because I want to focus on the oil. We'll let the excess drip off. Then we're going to run it through the dredge. We'll probably get a few of these. Good thing about having a thing of dishwater going is I can easily dip my hands in whenever I need to. Come on. Problem with this is it's sometimes hard to get a hold of these. Temperature should be coming up any second now. Okay, looks like I got 2 pieces there. That's probably fine. And there's the temperature probe. Okay, you zip it. Temperature probe is going right in the dishwater. Alright, then we're going to start dropping these in oil as they're ready. Actually. I'm going to finally be smart about this and use my fry spoon to drop these in a few at a time. Ooh. Okay, splashing oil is probably still not the brightest idea in the world. Hopefully those are going to stay separated. I'll work on the rest of these. I'll work on the rest of the chicken while that's frying. What we're looking for is until all sides are golden brown. And are they clumping? Let me get a couple more pieces of the chicken ready, and I'll check to see if those are clumping together. It looks like they are, but I want to see if I can separate them a little bit. Okay. And of course, I'm not separating this with my hands because hot oil. Nope. Looks like they just happen to be... some of them are clumping together, but I don't think there's much... Okay. Looks like I can get some... Okay, looks like I got those separated. Alright, I'll come back to working on the chicken. Working on the marinade. Okay. Looks like that first batch is just about ready to come out. Let me get this last piece marinating in the dredge. Okay, oh yeah, those look like they're good to go. So we'll bring them out. We'll bring a plate that I've lined with paper towel over to the oil. Pull these out and let them cool. Then we'll drop the next batch in. I'll see if I can get these a little bit more dredge on them. Okay. I'll finish getting this batch in. Right. I'm going to shut the camera off at this point, fry the rest of these up, then we'll come back to take a look at the finished product, and then we'll move back over to my desk for the taste test. Here's our first look at the finished product. These look pretty good. We'll find out how they taste soon enough. Now the cookbook does suggest serving it with nacho average cheese sauce, but I didn't prepare the nacho average cheese sauce. What I've got waiting for me at my desk, however, is salsa that we've used on previous recipes. So, what say we take these over to my desk for the taste test. As you can see, I've got the Chick-Arrones right here and the salsas here as well. I'm going to do 2 taste tests on this. I'm going to do one plain, one with the salsas. So, let's give this a try and see what I think. Looks like everything came out pretty well. Looks like everything's nice and breaded. Consistency is pretty even. So, plain first. And the salsa. I really like how this recipe turned out. It didn't turn out quite as triangle shaped as I would have liked in the chicken, but I do like the taste of this one. The breading consistency was nice and even. The fry didn't take too long. I was a little bit worried as I was watching the oil pour out that the fry was potentially going to send some of that flying, because I've had problems with the oil in the past doing that, but it didn't this time. But this is probably going to be an early lunch for me. And that's another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next week, we'll be making the entree out of the Cooking with Deadpool cookbook, Not the Only Fish in the Sea. As for the game videos, I am expecting a product unboxing later today. I've got one more delivery I'm expecting in today. Then we're going to crack the last few deliveries I've gotten in. Tomorrow, the winter campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game continues with the second scenario, The Vanishing of Elena Harper. Wednesday, we're back to the Scythe universe as we play Expeditions from Stonemaier Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.